Okay, well, I am really thrilled that this week we get to talk to Laura Jones. Uh, Many of you will know Laura. She's been part of the church family for a whole number of years and is part of our Eccles group. Laura, why don't you tell us initially how you first became a Christian and then maybe also what's been sort of key in your growth and development as well?
Mum and Dad were Christians, so I went to church as a child. I stopped going when I was 12, and then my mum went back to church and I went with her when I was about 17. And just for the first time really had a genuine connection, I think, as a nearly adult. So yeah, that's how it started. And then I remember the day that I kind of decided that I wanted to be a Christian again. And that excitement and that kind of, yeah, it was really exciting.
And what was it that stirred you then to make that decision, do you think?
I think I just realised as an adult that it was the way I wanted to live my life, and I believed it, because obviously as a child I just went along with what my parents were doing and stuff. So yeah, and I was really excited, and when you're a teenager you go to all the youth groups and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it was really exciting. But I felt that genuine connection with God. And I think, it's not been easy. I've had really hard times. I've had fantastic times where I've, felt really kind of on fire for God. And then there's been times where I've sort of not felt like that. And I would say that for me is remaining with God, whatever you're feeling, speaking to him, praying, worshipping. And I think for me in the bad times, just listening to worship music and just trying to stay connected with him has kind of kept me going.
So not everyone will know that you were the first person to ever get us to think about the fact that God might want us to do something in Eccles. Can you tell us a little bit how that sort of came about?
So I wanted to buy a house, didn't have much money, and at the time Eccles was really cheap. So I was just sort of driving around, getting to know the area, thinking, could I live here? And it in those days, it was 13 years ago, it was pretty rough. So, and as I was driving and just getting to know the area, I just really clearly felt God to say, you're going to live here, and there's a job for you here. And I was like, really? Can't it be in Sale? So I just, I thought about it for a few years, and then eventually, during one of the transforms, I think Claire Roberts was like, mate, you just need to move to Eccles. So I remember driving over the Barton Bridge and I remember so clearly all this years later God saying, if you go, others will follow. And that is what happened. So I moved, and there was I didn't know anyone in Eccles, and I moved to pretty rough street, and I absolutely loved it. Loved being in the thick of it, just loved the people, how friendly people were, and just found it really easy to build relationships here. And then you pulled me into the office in the old church. I remember the day, and you said, oh, the Message are thinking about planting in Eccles or doing an Eden team. And I was like, oh, right, okay. Unsurprised, because I knew there was a reason. And then, yeah, Eden started, and then other people kind of moved in as well. And that's the beginning of Eccles.
Yeah, love it. Someone has to lead the way, and you did, Laura, which was great. And on a different sort of track, more recently in your life, God's clearly put adoption in your heart, and it would be great just to hear a little bit about that journey and what that's been like for you.
I'm a social worker, so I've always been around children who potentially have a plan for that, for adoption, and I've always wanted to be a mum. So I got to sort of 30 and hadn't met anyone, and just really wanted to be a mum. So I started looking into adoption. And just knew it was right. That kind of peace you get about the right decision, and you can't explain it. I just knew it was right, and I felt like I had the skills to do it as a single person. So applied, and then over 4 years ago now, my little boy came home, and he's been here ever since. And yeah, I absolutely am obsessed with adoption. I think it's amazing. I believe it's on God's heart massively, and I don't feel that being single is a barrier to doing it. I think single people bring a lot of skills to adoptive parenting. So yeah, like all parenting, it's flipping hard work at times, but extremely rewarding, and I've got no regrets about doing it.
And do you think it's made a difference to be part of a church family in that context and environment for you?
Yeah, I think because I look at other single adopters particularly, and their support networks just aren't there. And I have always, I could, if there was an emergency, not in COVID times, obviously, but if there was an emergency, I know that there would be 20 or 30 people I could effectively ring, and they would come and support. So from the very beginning, everyone has supported my journey and been really for it and stuff. So yeah, I definitely think there is something about being in the church that brings that support for me.
Brilliant. Laura, you've just given us a quick window into little aspects of your life. We really appreciate who you are and really appreciate you sharing. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.